Alright, so we are graphing inequalities from 4.8. With that, we are just going to be graphing the inequalities. We're not going to really worry about solving them. Make sure that if it says homework problems and solve each inequality by graphing, that we make sure that it is equal to 0 before we do anything. When you graph a quadratic inequality, you're going to use the same technique as linear inequalities. Graph the parabola, solve if they are equal to, the inequalities have a bar underneath them, or dash if they do not. Then choose your shading by picking a point to test. When you pick that point, if the statement is true, you shade that area. If it is not, you shade the other area. Starting this equation off, I'm going to have my axis of symmetry equation, x equals negative b divided by 2a. I'm going to plug in my b of negative 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 times 1 gives me 8 divided by 2, so x equals 4. If I plug in my equation, I get negative 14. Since that scale is what I have, I'm going to make sure that I do my scale by 2, so I'm going to use a negative 2 and a 2. Bottom of my point of 4, negative 14 is down here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate out my zeros on my calculator. If you don't remember how to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that here right now. So here's my calculator. Going to go y equals, clear everything out. I'm going to type in my equation of x squared minus 8x plus 2. I'm going to go zoom 6 to see what happens with my window. Now I don't see my vertex because I know that my scaling only goes down to negative 10, but I'm going to calculate out my zeros here. So to do that, I go second trace, calc, I'm going to do a 0. I'm going to hit negative 2, enter, then I'm going to choose 2, and then I'm going to guess a value, and that gives me 0.25, 834261 and 0. So roughly I'm going to be as close as I can over here. That is 0.258, 0. Then I'm going to calculate out my other 0. Go second trace again. Calculate out my 0. I'm going to pick 5. And then I'm going to kick out a number of 9. Hit enter. And then I get this wonderful answer of 7.74. So if I'm counting by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8. So 7.74 is roughly here. Okay. Now with these, I'm going to pick some numbers in between. So I'm going to go second trace. I'm going to calculate out a value. Let's see, if I calculate out 2, what do I get? I get negative 10. So at 2, I'm at negative 10. So this is negative 14, 12, 10. I'm going to mirror that over here. And with that, I'm going to be okay. And I got 5 points to graph, so then I'm going to graph my parabola. This is a solid parabola. Zoom back out here again. So with that, try to make it as curvy as I possibly can. Now that you got that. Now, the cool thing is I know this doesn't hit at 0, 0, so I can plug in 0 as my test point. Is 0 less than or equal to 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 2? 0 is less than or equal to 2. That's a true statement, so that means everything outside this parabola is shaded. Nothing inside, so technically I should extend these lines out, but I'm okay and I understand that nothing is going to go on the inside. Now, these points here should be labeled. So I had 2, negative 10, and this one would be 6, negative 10. Alright, so we're going to do the next one. So I'm going to graph out this one here. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do it all on my calculator. So get this equation here, and I'm going to start typing in my calculator. So in order to do that, once again, I'm going to hit y equals, clear out this first equation. So I have x squared plus 6x minus 2. I'm going to do zoom 6 standards to see if it actually shows up on my graph nicely. Now I don't see that vertex, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my window -10. I'm going to go down to window, and I'm going to change my y min, because that's my scale going up and down, to -15, and see if I can see it then. Hit graph. So now I can see it pretty, and it makes me a little bit happier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go second calc. So by second trace, I'm going to calculate out my minimum to get my vertex. Left bound, you got to be on the left side of your graph. So if you arrow on the left side, right side, I hit enter, and it gives me a nice little graph. Now my equation states 3.00003, comma -11. That means it's at 3, comma -11. It's on this equation. X equals -3, -3, comma -11. On my graph, so on the graph that I have right now drawn out, I don't have enough room. Apologize. Trying to work it out here. So I'm going to have to go by 2s, going down, and I think I'm going to keep my scale here by 1s. So I'm going to keep my y's at 2s, and I'm going to do my x-axis at 1s. So -3, so -1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go down to 11. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then halfway is 11. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to calculate out my points again. So if I calculate out my zeros, I can calc 0, 2. So this scale here on my graph still goes by 1. So I'm going to pick -9. And I'm going to pick -3. I'm going to guess the value in between. So I get -6.3166. So -3, -6. So -6.317, comma 0. And then I'm going to get my other 0. And on that graph, I'm going to hit -3 for my left bound, right bound. I'm going to hit 2, hit enter, and I get 0.3166. I'm going to go 0.31, comma 0. Okay, and then I'm going to get another set of points here, and I'm going to go to my table just to show you another way of getting there, get points. I go second graph. Then I get some table here. I'm at 10, so if I get closer, arrow up, and you're going to see a lot more numbers on mine. Keep going. There's not any pretty numbers to graph right there yet. 1 is 5. I want to be less than 1. So 0 gives me -2. That's not bad. So 0 gives me -2. So that means that -6 should give me -2. -2 gives me -10, so I can get a point here, which helps me out some. And if I go over 2, and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, I can go over 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I can see my graph as best as I can. Get a curve going. Now I know this is dashed. I'm doing this in pencil for a reason, so I can erase afterwards, because I hate doing things in pen and then making a mistake. So there's my parabola. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to erase out some things so I can see my dash. That way my teacher would know that my parabola is dashed. Okay, and then I can plug 0, 0 in to check because I don't cross it, which is awesome. So if I plug that in the test, I got 0 is greater than 0 squared plus 6 times 0 minus 2. So 0 is greater than negative 2, which is true. So I would shade everything in here. So that's the first part of graphing. And that's what you need to do. And then when you do your other points, when you do the other examples, that's what you would do as well. So this would get you through your homework. Make sure you calculate out your zeros on your calculator. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you email me or send me questions on Remind. I will try my best to answer them today.